10 a.m. and you're listening to
And of course, this show is what I do just during Ramadan, just so that you know that. So we've got about 2 more weeks or so thereabouts to go, hosting this Ashraf Garda show here on Salam Media. Now, we often pick up, global Muslim issues, but we also have to pay attention to, local Muslim issues. And sometimes the local Muslim issue has the potential to become a global Muslim issue. That could well be the case with regard to the goings on in a place called Kenwyn, mainly, and I know Kenwyn only because I know Hassan Tabara lives in Kenwyn, just so that you know that. But beyond that, it's in the Western Cape, and there's some important issues that developed over the weekend that we need to know about. It concerns the Imam there, Moulana Farouk Rylands. Let's find out more with Hassan Tabara, who's a media and communications professional. Hassan, appreciate your time. Salaam alaikum.
Walaikum salam, Ashraf. Always a pleasure chatting to you. We're not speaking
first
about
time,
football.
No, we were not talking about Manchester United, not at all.
No.
Just it's like case leaving the devil aside in Ramadan. The devil's locked up, so
Exactly.
you got the message of the red devil. Yeah, all right, but let's talk about the other issue, which is a huge concern. What's happened in your community?
So I've been living in Kenwyn for the last 15 years, and Moulana Farouk Rylands has been the mu'alim for my elderly parents. I mean, he's much younger than them, but they come back every week quite excited because they learn so much from him. So he's been a big servant to the community for almost 2 decades. And then I think at the end of December, the trust started some disciplinary action against him. They weren't happy with the content of some of the things he was saying in mosque during Jumu'ah and such periods. And then all of a sudden it was escalated. It became a very one-sided disciplinary hearing, and he was summarily dismissed. So yesterday, on Sunday, there was a picket, not just in support for the reinstatement of Moulana Rylands, but also highlighting the way that trusts run mosques. And so you very aptly said that this could be a global issue. And you must remember that a mosque belongs to Allah. It does not belong to trusts. Nobody can own a mosque. And so that's the principle that the community was saying yesterday, that, in terms of any faith, in South Africa and Islamic faith, it's about freedom of religion. It's for the people we mandate to put in charge of in the minbar and making sermons to practice that freedom of religion and freedom of speech, And they can be held to account, but not in an unfair way, without any engagement or consultation with the community.
So fair point. So what did the Imam say? What did the Maulana say? And take it now. You said he said it in December. What did he say that so incurred the wrath of the trustees?
So it's important to know, Ashraf, that most of the 4 trustees who are listed, they're not from the community. They don't live in the Kenwyn area. So they actually watched a video that somebody had taken during I think it was the Jumu'ah prayers, the English khutbah. And I'm not a regular Musali of the mosque, I have to be honest. I was approached to assist with some media and communication about yesterday's picket. I usually attend Islamia, but my understanding is that he said things that were critical of the trust, and that led to the disciplinary hearing. But he's made him a challenge now. He said that he will step down if they step down as well. He has been fired already, but they haven't been down to remove him or give him any letter or notification of his dismissal. So he is sitting steadfast in his position and says he will need to be removed physically if that needs to happen. He's got the full support of the community, and he's challenging them to say, I will leave if you leave. Let's give the Kenwyn community a fresh start and let them give a mandate to an imam who can lead the community.
Okay, this sounds like a in many ways, it sounds like political play on a community stage. I'm just making the point. Do you know, and you maybe hopefully you do know, do you know any of the critical points that he brought up about the running of the mosque or the masjid from the trustees? Did he say anything that stood out in that video?
Yeah. So, what is the dispute really about? It's a dispute between the Kenwyn Muslim community, who are the regular Musalis, the Kenwyn Islamic Society members, and other community members. And the dispute is against the Ashrafia Trust, and it's about the running and operations of the Waterloo Road Masjid, which is based in Kenwyn. So, although the trustees have verbally confirmed that the mosque is waqf and that the trust should be administered according to Quran and Sunnah, they conduct themselves in a manner as if they are the owners of the mosque instead of mutual consultation with the community. Now, Ashraf, the statement is from the Kenwyn Islamic Society. It's not Hassan Tabada saying this. Further, it's an NPO for the benefit of the community, which requires further adherence to rules. There is a lack of financial accountability. They failed in their duties as specified by the trustee, that they be subjected to annual audits and to be accountable to donors. As you know, that's required by both South African and Islamic law. And then, apologies, Ashraf, there's also allegations or charge by the community that the appointment of these trustees has been unfair and nepotistic, not based on mutual consultation and merit. And then further to that, the imam, which I've discussed with you before, and the way forward is the community asking that for the trustees to be held to account, to say no to mosque trustees bullying our imams, and that trustees perform their duties according to both Islamic and South African law.
Okay. So, I mean, in terms of those allegations, and you're quite right, it's not you simply relating it. I get that. You know, obviously those allegations have to stick, and perhaps it's maybe only fair that we send out an invitation to the trust themselves, and I think you'd appreciate if we do just that, right? But let's just take it for now that those allegations have some merit, right? It does suggest to me that the imam would only go on a public platform, in this case, the most public Muslim platform, which is the Jummah platform, right? Because communication between himself and the trust is already broken down, because normally that sort of consultation would take place internally, right?
Correct, Ashraf. And he did intimate to the people who came to picket yesterday that he's been subjected to months of bullying. He's had a 19-year relationship as imam of the mosque. He's seen trustees come and go. And without fail, I mean, I think the issue he was trying to drive home is that these trustees start believing that they become the owners of the mosque, you know, and excuse the pun, there needs to be a bit of a church and state situation where the imam is appointed to look after the religious content and the faith content of the mosque. And a trust really is there to look at governance issues. And that's how any NPO or even corporate organization should be run. And those are the kinds of points. But it's not just at Kenwyn, at the Waterloo Road Mosque in Kenwyn, where we're seeing this kind of thing. It's starting to become a trend all over Cape Town. We had a Moulana Muhammad Kar there yesterday, who was a very distinguished member of the ulama in the Cape. And he was saying similar things, that, you know, trusts are starting to encroach on its, you know, we come back, we were taught as young children that this is the house of Allah. It belongs to Allah and the Musalis, and it doesn't belong to anybody. So those kind of statements are being echoed, you know, and you know, personally, I was there to help out with media, but the reason I chose to do that is because, as you know, Ashraf, I'm an activist who's really opposed to injustice, and I don't like a bully, you know. And in this case, I think there's a case of serious bullying happening.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to suggest that you assist us with information, try and get hold of the trustees, because I think we need to speak to them. And I'd like to talk to them about their relationship with their imam of 19 years, right? Just the last thing now. So one thing is the imam having a spat with the trustees, and the trustees having a spat with the imam. You and I know, and to look at the football example, as in Conte of Tottenham Hotspur, if you go public with your employers, you're virtually out of a job in a couple of days' time. Cristiano Ronaldo did the same thing with Manchester United, and that's just two football examples. There's probably many others, right? Accepting in this case here, which I think is interesting, it hasn't been a private issue. There's been widespread support from the community in terms of the protest, right? So that's what I'm very interested in. What's the level of the support that took place yesterday? And could we find ourselves in a position now that the trustees have overplayed their hands by virtue of the fact that if you don't have musallis, you actually don't have the running of a mosque?
Yeah, and the worst thing that can happen, Ashraf, is that people stop coming to mosque. That's not what we want as a community. The mosques and churches and synagogues are the kind of heartbeat of every community. But I think they have overplayed their hand. I think they've underestimated the love that the community has for the imam, and that how well he served the community for so many years. I mean, not only at the mosque, but he's also, you'll know, Islamia College, the high school around when
Yeah.
he served there with distinction as well. And I think I was very heartened by the turnout yesterday. It is Ramadan, people are very busy, but people came out in their numbers to support the imam, and there have been messages from all over for him, all over the Cape for him, messages of support. And I think people are slowly starting to realize what the issues are at hand. Often when there are these disputes with trustees and imam, it's not public. And I think he didn't say it to provoke or evoke a reaction, but he honestly wanted to keep the musallis abreast of what was happening, that he has been dismissed and there was a disciplinary hearing. And on that basis, the community then took it upon themselves to act and to do it in the right way. Yeah.
Okay, we'll certainly share those pictures and videos of the community protesting and look at them in their numbers. Just the last thing, right? Very quickly, has there been any imams, right, who've actually publicly supported this imam, the Moulana Farouk Rylands?
I don't know to the extent of the support, but as I mentioned earlier, that Moulana Muhammad Kar, who is a very a well-known and prominent member of the ulama in the Western Cape, was there and spoke at the picket yesterday in support of the imam, but speaking to the general issue of trust behaving in the way they do,
and the maintenance of the masjid. Yeah.
Yes, and hold him to account and prevent bullying of our imams.
We'll pick that up. By the way, we've had another conversation the other day, so we need to also talk about, just how transformed are the trustees or the trusts that govern the mosques, not just in terms of the males, right, but also in terms of female representation, and the other in terms of the demographics of the country. Another conversation for another time. Kasant, appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Shukran, Ashraf, as always. Good to speak to you.
There we are. We certainly need to pick up on that story and get word from the trust and see what they have to say about that mosque, the mosque in Kenwyn in the Western Cape, regarding the imam who effectively has been fired. So we have a feature called Champion Spotting, and our champion spotter is the company Joe Public. We'll chat to one of the founders, Pepe Murray, in a moment.